Final Fantasy VII is one of my all-time favorite RPGs, and it stands strong against the other titans of the genre. Even people who don't play RPGs know of this title, and probably even part of you know the story just due to the sheer amount of love that this game gets. Despite my preference for games like Final Fantasy VI and Legend of Dragoon, FF7 is a juggernaut that everyone knew would undoubtedly get a remake one day. It was always just a matter of when. Spoiler alert, that time is now. Square Enix just recently dropped the Final Fantasy VII Remake Demo, and for many this is a moment of excitement to try out a game they already love and enjoyed, and really know that this remake is going to be theirs. For me, this has been a bit of a different experience. I've been very vocal on my channel about how I don't like a lot of the direction to Final Fantasy VII Remake, the business model still we don't know all about and can't tell even from this demo. And there are a lot of other things about the game that they've shown that I've not been able to get excited about. In fact, I've been mostly concerned. So for me, this demo genuinely is a moment to either find out if I have more concerns, if my concerns are validated, or if it will finally relieve a lot of the stress I have about going into this remake. The demo takes place during the first major plot sequence of Final Fantasy VII, blowing up the first Mako reactor. Let's just get to the easy stuff first. Holy cow, this game looks good. I know the trailers looked good, but this YouTube footage just does not do it justice. If you've not played the demo and you're watching this video, just take what you're seeing with a grain of salt and imagine it twice as good. Do you like what you see? Everything is nailed beautifully here. Take the opening cutscene, for example. This isn't just a shot-for-shot reimagining. There is a lot added here, but all of the details from the original are nailed faithfully. The glow on Aerith's face, that long, drawn-out shot of the camera zooming away, the hit of the logo, the cut between the train and the zooming in and out of the action, everything just looks great. Couple that with the incredible music in this cutscene, but we'll get to the music later. Outside the cutscene, the gameplay visuals are seriously next level. I know a lot of people who are hyped for this keep saying that it's the best looking game they've ever played, and, well, yeah, I probably have to agree. The corridor sections of the entire level all look so gritty, but also technologically advanced. The detail on the characters is the best I've seen, probably ever. Even down to the strands of hair and the sheen off the characters' eyes. Cloud's Buster Sword's animations look and feel really impactful, and even Barrett's gun looks, feels, and sounds brutal when it's being fired. However, more than anything in the game, the part that is visually sold to me the most by far was the actual Mako reactor. This whole section of the demo is crafted brilliantly. When it comes to remakes, it's moments like this that really do excite me. Moving through this area and fighting the first boss is such a powerful moment. Damn. I just couldn't stop but try and look around and just take a little bit more in while I was in the area. Scale. That is the word that comes to my mind in this room. That and the phrase, holy shit, this is one of the best room designs I've ever seen, second only to your bedroom in Ocarina of Time. Descending down the ladders, navigating through the rafters only makes this whole scenario feel larger and larger and larger as you realize just how deep this thing goes. This helps make the escape sequence, by the way, even more tense, since you know you're gonna have to scale this massive room back up before the reactor blows. Also, having the boss fight take advantage of the scale of the room by jumping onto the walls and attacking from a safe distance for a little while is pretty damn awesome. This is also clever to encourage you to switch to Barret for some damage and use Cloud to recuperate a bit. Anything gameplay-wise to encourage mixing of the characters, good by me. So far, this all sounds pretty good, right? Well, in that case, you're ready to hear something that sounds just as better. That's not words. The sound. It's good. So what about those pesky waves of vibration that invade your ears and make your brain tell you some cool stuff's happening? Well, yeah, the music owns. There's no other real way around it, but the tracks all sound really damn good. I appreciate the fact that not everything is too faithful, but also not too experimental from the originals. Tracks heard in the opening cinematic are pretty faithful, which instantly hits that nostalgia string, but also sets up something super epic. Even the battle music and the boss music really know how to get the energy pumping. There's clearly a level of love and detail that went into these remixes, and I'm just so happy they turned out as well as they did. Oh, and hearing that nod to those chosen by the planet right before Cloud touched the bomb and seeing that little black feather, oof, oh, I actually got chills. It was really well done. Outside music, the sound effects all feel great. Bullets clanging off the robots, Cloud's sword strikes, and even the thuds from dodging, they all hit perfectly. Even the voice acting, I actually really like. In the trailers, I commented how I didn't like the way Cloud delivered his lines, but in context to the full conversations, I think the trailers actually sell the game short in this regard. I really like the banter between Cloud, Jesse, Barrett, Biggs, and Wedge. I'm really hoping that Square Enix does give us the ability to better engage with the other members of Avalanche as well, and capitalize on that opening that the original could have done better. And then there's the magic. It sucked. No quick, clever joke or quip. Just a good old-fashioned it sucked. Almost nothing about the magic system felt good. The sound effects, visual flair, the animations, the whole way the system works, I'm not a fan of any of it. When I hit fire, I want to see a good chunk of fire getting thrown at the enemy. But it just feels so weak despite the fact that it does an insane amount of damage. Thunder does look way better, but not by that much. And I still wouldn't say it looks fantastic. I am well aware that the spells will get stronger, and I do bet the upgraded versions of the spells will look and sound better, but I can't confirm that yet, and if the base spells are what they are to base on, well, literally anything is better than that. So, onto the combat finally. This is the part that for me has been the most stressful and worrying. I know a lot of people just want to have the old ATB system back and the old style, and while I do think that would be cool, I am okay with something new and exciting. But everything they've shown up until this point has been far more concern than fanfare for me. So, then how does it end up feeling? Well, the short answer, really good. The long answer, really good. The combat system itself seems basic up front, but all the pieces together make for something genuinely engaging. Spamming the square button will do Cloud's normal attack combo, but holding down the button charges up slower AoE attacks. Take Barrett, then who just doesn't spam square, but instead you're going to want to hold down his attack button while in combat in order to continually fire his gun. These differences between the two characters is small, but it does make Cloud and Barrett feel like two genuinely different combat styles. This goes even further when discussing the triangle attacks. Cloud can change his stance into Punisher mode, which sounds far edgier than it needs to be, but changes Cloud's combat style into an all-out assault mode. His damage increases, he strikes faster, and even counterattacks when he blocks, but he'll break out of Punisher mode the moment you dodge or press triangle again. Barrett's overcharge is different though, and instead acts as a powerful attack that you build up over time. Once the bar is full, you unleash the attack and do a load of damage. Something I did notice too is that Barrett has to reload his gun after firing so many shots. You can also give up firing for a second and hit triangle to charge up his overcharge. I found that if you hit triangle to charge while he's reloading, you get way more overcharge and you don't clip the reload. Little combat nuances like this make the battles far more interesting than anything Final Fantasy 15 or Lightning Returns ever had. My biggest concern with the combat going into this game is that it would play like Lightning Returns or 15. The combat in those two games is not good. And for Final Fantasy 15, it's one of, if not the absolute worst part of the game by far. Playing through FF15 was a chore and a test of boredom that you just hit the attack button forever, use a multi-party combo that just appears out of nowhere, and you pressed triangle to heal. I couldn't even say the sentence properly because I was that bored with it. I dreaded every single battle that came into that game, and going into the Final Fantasy VII Remake, I was worried that that combat would just be more of that. I've never been so happy to be wrong in this regard, and just from the demo alone, there are battles that are far more interesting than anything that existed in Lightning Returns or FF15 from a gameplay perspective. I keep hearing people mention that this game feels a lot like God of War. I've even heard this from YouTubers like SkillUp, that the game director himself specifically pointed out God of War as an inspiration for the FF7 Remake's combat. Pardon me for having the audacity of disagreeing with the guy who helped make it about what his inspirations were. I just don't see it. This game doesn't feel like God of War to me at all, like any of the God of War games. I'm pretty positive the only reason people are saying this is because the director mentioned the title. If you've played JRPG games in the past decade or so, then you will find that this combat is comfortable and familiar. However, It will be because of a series known as the Tales games. A lot of direct comparisons can be made from FF7 Remake's combat to the iteration and innovation that the Tales games have made in the past 10 plus years. The way you can command Barrett's actions and spells without switching off of Cloud, just like a Tales game. The fact that you can navigate through menus during combat to find the correct move, or set up a string of hotkeys to do it faster and in real time, just like a Tales game. The whole ability to switch between party members on the fly in combat and provide the player with the constant ability to mix up gameplay and never get bored of the same gameplay style. It's just like a Tales game. Really, the main point I'm trying to get off here is that the combat and basic concepts in FF7 Remake are really good in that battle regard. However, games like Tales have really innovated and iterated on this formula for quite a while, and it wasn't until now that I think they were the best. But I really do think Final Fantasy VII's basic combat could be the best in the genre. But of course, there's stuff that sucks. It's kind of odd to say this, but where Final Fantasy VII Remake's combat is the worst is the Magic and Active Time Battle, or ATB system. The reason it's so strange for me to say this is because the ATB is what made Final Fantasy stand out above the other JRPGs of its time since its implementation in Final Fantasy IV. The ATB system existed across 6 consecutive Final Fantasy games, and the ATB system largely remained unchanged, and not a single soul complained about it. So how does the reimagined ATB system fare in this game? It's not good. It's just not good. The magic in the ATB system is by far the weakest part of the combat, which only hurts more if you're someone like me who prefers to focus on magic-oriented gameplay. So why do I think it's weak? Well, in order to utilize spells, you have to set up the ATB bar, which you can have up to 2 bars at any given time. You generate ATB by dealing damage in combat. So far, not a problem. Well, magic also has an MP cost. So in order to cast fire, you need to have the correct amount of MP and have an available bar of ATB. This is already more convoluted than it needs to be, but it's not too bad yet. However, let's just say you don't have enough MP to cast Cure, for example. Well, just like any other RPG, you can use an item to give MP in order to cast the spell. Ether in this case. Sorry, just kidding. You also need to use an ATB bar to also use items. So you have to use an ATB bar to use an Ether in order to use an ATB bar to cast Cure on a party member before they die. Are you out of MP and low on ATB? Well, you might as well just throw yourself into danger and hope you land enough hits in order to start the 4-step process in order to cast a single Cure spell. Compare this to something like Dragon Quest XI. In that game, if a character attacks an enemy with a staff or rod, i.e. items that magic users would wield, they would generate MP back. What a perfect solution to a simple problem that allows the player more choice on whether they want to be more offensive or defensive in their gameplay. I checked to see if perhaps Final Fantasy VII Remake does do this by looking ahead at Aerith's gameplay, and it doesn't. No. I completely understand the purpose of this system. They're trying to create those tense situations, and it forces you to constantly be thinking proactively instead of reactively. I even understand that the ATB bars are meant to simulate the kind of turn structure that existed in Final Fantasy VII. And before anyone mentions it, I also get that you can use other party members' ATB, essentially using their turn, in order to use an Ether on another party member so that they can use their ATB or turn in order to cast the spell. Yes, this does in some way simulate the pseudo turn order that exists in RPGs like Final Fantasy VII and Chrono Trigger. Those systems are great, and they really helped push the genre, and it feels really ungrateful to be complaining about their mechanics being iterated upon in this game. But there's a clear difference between Final Fantasy VII and its remake. Final Fantasy VII uses real-time combat. It changes everything. The whole landscape gets shifted, and you can't even make the same one-to-one comparisons anymore because of that thing. Whole thing plays different and needs to have different rules to fit that. In a game like Final Fantasy VII Remake, you're locked into utilizing your ATB to react to situations, and that's it. At least in terms of defenses. It's a real missed opportunity here. Granted, offensively, you can cast spells and use abilities to help force enemies into the staggered phase, which is great, but in terms of defense, you have to be offensive. While some games nail this, like Hollow Knight, there's a much tighter window of movement and enemy interactions which allow the game to force the player into an uncomfortable offensive moment in which the player can prevent all forms of damage. That is in Hollow Knight. In the Final Fantasy VII Remake, however, just simulating the old RPG systems, there is damage that is unavoidable and can't be dodged. It can be blocked to reduce the damage quite significantly, but if you can't prevent it all, then your players are just going to feel frustrated trying to muscle the ATB system to work for them instead with them. Really don't want to spend too much time just harping on this, because overall my opinions coming out of this demo were wow. I'm genuinely way more excited. The ATB system was probably my biggest fear and concern, and a lot of the hypotheticals that I had come up with, like on the podcast over on my second channel, Jerry Rigged, they came true, and a lot of the frustrations and scenarios that I hated and thought I would hate happen with the ATB system. It's just such... what it is it's not nearly as bad maybe as I'm making it out to be, but it's such a clear stain on everything else being so good. It just feels like it stands out that much more and more frustrating because of it. However, overall, the demo has made me a believer, I suppose. It's made me really excited for the game. If only I knew the business model still, which it's really dumb how we still don't know the details of that entire thing yet, because that's kind of important about whether I want to support that or not, but hopefully this is a good enough game. But without that, I just don't want to continue too much further. This is already way longer than I anticipated. I just wanted to do a quick rundown of my thoughts, but I really, really like Final Fantasy VII. It's one of my all-time favorite RPGs, as I said before, so I'm very passionate about this project, and I'm very passionate about the game itself. So hopefully you understand that these feelings, and if you disagree with me on a lot of this, understand that this is just because I really am interested and really care about the game as a whole. If you do disagree with me and you think I'm an idiot, please let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what you think your favorite part of the game was so far of the demo, and what you think about my opinions, and if you think you disagree or agree, however you want to feel. I appreciate that. Also, the like and subscribe if you like, that's the fun stuff, the YouTube stuff. But without that, that's it for me. I'll see you next time, and enjoy the demo. I'm gonna play it again because I kind of want to keep playing it a couple times, get some new ideas, some new info, new light. And there's a review coming I got to work on, so hope you enjoy the tactical approach I took to that. All right, goodbye. I'm done with that. I'll see you later. Have a good one.